Hello there everybody, welcome to Tales of Gaming Addiction, a YouTube channel where we talk about gaming and all of that good stuff. I got a chance to play the For Honor Open Beta recently. It's still ongoing at the time of recording, and hopefully by the time this is all uploaded. So if you haven't pre-ordered already, I recommend pre-ordering it because this game is good. Like, seriously good. So this is just going to be a quick little review, first impressions sort of thing. It's not meant to be taken like super serious. I'm not going to be overly critical. This is all going to be subjective, personal opinion, and considering it's a video game, it will be subjective. So, For Honor, this is the new game out from Ubisoft, and as the pre-warning audio should really set in concrete here, is that this is beta, so stuff is subject to change and isn't representative of what they have in mind. Because some things may change, they might nerf some bits or buff other things or change animations as they go. So, this game was announced at E3 last year. It was received quite highly among fans as the concept in itself was really cool. The concept being that you pick either a knight, a samurai or a Viking in variations of classes and compete in a competitive environment. These competitive environments break down to 3 game types. There is a 1v1 duel, where you literally do best of 3, 5 or 9 matches, basically best of wins. There is the 2v2 brawl, which is much like the duel, except 2v2, and the maps are much more open and widened. And then there is 4v4 domination, which is the one that a lot of people got their hands on, and I suspect will also be lurking about at conventions prior to release. 4v4 domination works with a team of attackers and a team of defenders. 3 control points, A, B, and C. A and C tend to be fixed keeps on the maps in the minute, and B is like a battleground, so it's constantly shifting. The objective is to reach 1,000 points before your opponent does. At the moment a team reaches 1,000 points, the opposing team will then start breaking, and their heroes will not be able to respawn. So if you're attacking and you are breaking, if you die as an attacker, you are not respawning. And the defenders have a chance to close the game out. You can come back in by capturing control point and rallying. This is often done by capturing a keep, in which case A or C, although something I'll get into towards the end of this video will hopefully be changed. But that's really cool. It's been the most common game mode, it has the most players on at the minute, and god is it fun. So much fun. So, graphically and all that sort of technical jazz, for those of you that are interested, this isn't my area of expertise, but since installing it, I'm running R9-200 series from AMD. The game runs gorgeously, the settings are already up on high and maximum. I could crack all the power of the processor into it. It doesn't peak out that high, but for the most part it does look graphically impressive, and it is running around about 60 FPS, so it looks oh so beautiful and runs oh so smoothly. Audio wise, the audio is really nice. The voices are amazing. The sounds of the executions when you gut someone is that really rich sound and has this really nice appeal to it. Something else that I really like as well is the ongoing background dialogue and things like that. So as you're running around, you've got your men screaming in their relevant languages as well. So the knights are speaking in Latin, the Vikings are speaking in Norse, and the samurai are speaking in Japanese. But the game's also informing you of allies dying. So if someone dies off to the screen, off to the side somewhere, and they're close by, you have your soldiers shouting, "An ally has fallen, you should go and assist them." Well, thank you, game, for pointing out that a friend has died. I should go and look for that health sign immediately and go get them up. So, that is really cool. The maps will have this wonderful ambience to them, with both visuals and noise. And that's generally quite cool. Another thing that the game does really well, which I absolutely adore, is the customization. So, obviously, you pick a hero, so you can... There are currently 3 heroes per faction right now, leading to a total of 9 heroes. They can all be customised, so you can give them headwear, shoulderwear, armwear, and improve their weapons. Now the weapons vary on character, so for example, the Viking Raider, who I've been playing as the most, you could have a new shaft, a new axe head, and a new pommel on his weapon. But if you go to the Warden, the Viking second character, if you will, with a sword and a shield, that's the weapon choice, is sword and shield. You can't really interchange the two, and there's no change to the sword either, it's all one thing. But comparing the Viking Raider to the Knight's Warden, that's not a Warden, but anyway, to the basic Knight, their Vanguard unit, they break down just in the same way as heads, body, arms, and you can improve the sword by having a new blade, a new crossguard, and a new pommel. And that's a huge amount of customization. I haven't seen the Samurai in too much depth, the Samurai really haven't interested me, but I'll assume it's the same in customization. And this all adds up to your character and how the leveling system works. So you have a level for your character and a level for your gear, which looks like WoW gear score. So if you're level 14 with a gear score of 10, there is something in your gear pool that is lacking. So if you bump it up, you'll actually be more effective in the field than you otherwise would be. So you'll be less squishy, you can be more resilient to damage, you could get your allies up quicker, you can rally your allies without having to recapture points, and all that sort of thing. There's loads of little mechanics milling around in the background, which gives this game some unique depth that a lot of games haven't covered. If you look at Ubisoft's other multiplayer titles, so like Rainbow Six Siege, the only real customization there is customizing your rifle to improve aim, reduce recoil, maybe be silent. But a lot of people tend not to go for the silencer because it also reduces your range and your damage, and all that sort of thing. But you can't go much beyond that. You know, your character, well, your operative in Rainbow Six's case, is still the same. You might be able to get a different skin for them, or a different skin for the rifle, but that's about it. You can't change the thing that makes them unique, which is fine. That's kind of how that game is meant to work, and it's very much the same for Honor with all its classes and characters. But at the same time, you can customize them enough that even if you end up on a team full of Viking Raiders, you're all different, even though you all have the same moveset. So it's a nice thing. It's like mixing MOBA and FPS and games like War of the Roses, Mountain Blade, that sort of stuff, and gelling it into one nice cohesive thing. So they've really executed the concept well. Now, on to the bad, because we can't have good without bad. It's a fact of life. So, a couple of bad things that I have about this right now. Of course, these are all subject to change, same as with the good bits. Currently, on the PC build at least, you can rebind your keyboard and mouse settings, but you cannot rebind your controller settings, which is a little bit awkward because the right trigger is for a heavy attack and the right bumper is for a light attack. Now, if you spam the heavy attack a lot, you wear out a little bit quicker. It'd be nice to rebind at least that much, like invert those controls, but I couldn't find an option anywhere for that. So it'd be nice if that was an option to change those around a bit. So right bumper becomes my heavy attack, my right trigger becomes my light attack. Those would be kind of cool. Another thing the game is lacking right now is the variety of maps. Currently there are 3 maps for 4v4 Dominion, but there are like 5 maps for Brawls and 1v1s. I'm hoping that we get the extra maps from those into Dominion, and the Dominion maps downscaled for the Brawls, because there's one level which I really like the look of called Forest, which is set in sort of Japanese aesthetics, so you've got the pagodas and the temples and everything else, and that'll be beautiful to fight over in 4v4 Dominion, because you'd have allies running across the bridge, you'd be watching people have a duel, you have to run through the canyon to get to the other side and capture a control point. You know, it could be really dynamic in level design, but for now it's a 1v1, and it feels kind of wasted, because you can see the space, it's physically there, there's just no way to cut across them all. So that's one major letdown. Obviously the keys are another major letdown. Combat mechanics could be a little bit clearer. So the way combat works, just to give a quick overview, is that you have a stance. You either aim to block high, block left, or block right, or stand completely still. But that would be really dumb when you're trying to target someone. Now, the problem is, right now, and hopefully this can be fixed, the camera has a tendency, and you'll see in the footage, of being stuck at this wide angle, so there's a lot of space when there doesn't need to be. And unfortunately, the GUI doesn't scale up, so it's still stuck at that zoomed in scale, and you're zoomed out. So you're trying to work with this tiny little triangle telling you to guard up, left, or right, whilst someone else is going to attack, and with all the noise and everything going on, it's very hard to see where to block from. Also, over time you get used to this and you'll be able to work it out, but I think for new players to get them into the game, to try and lower the floor but still keep that ceiling quite high, maybe make that a little bit clearer in some way. Obviously a lot of this footage is versus the AI opponent because there was some server issues. Again, that's probably from a lot of people diving into this space so hard and so fast, and he's just killing Ubisoft servers. Another thing that would be really nice is for your stats on your characters to be a little bit clearer when you go to select them. So at the end of every match you get a loot drop, and this might be things like you get a new chest piece, a new weapon pommel or something like that. I like to be able to see the stats of what I've got currently in comparison, even if there isn't that much of a change. More as like a numbers thing, so I can just glance over and go, okay, I'm getting +2 speed, -4 defense. Just an example, I know the stats don't work like that, but it's just for the sake of explaining it, as opposed to trying to work out if there's any difference in just a green and a red dot, because they might look the same, but they might be actually different values. So beyond that, those are my only problems with the game so far. Pros-wise, like I said, they've executed the concept incredibly well. The combat is visually and audibly pleasing, especially when you get those executions. Gorgeous. The games are actually really quite short. You could probably get through 4 games in an hour at a push. That's including waiting for people to get online and for games to set up. Maybe if not, people don't click the ready button, but again, that tick is quite quick. The XP growth is actually really good. You level up really quick, so you can get used to your character quicker. You can customize them nice and easy. You can get your new items quicker. And on the subject of items as well, the one thing I like is that you can upgrade items. So if you have a pommel you really like, you can upgrade it. Or if you find one later on that has the exact same stat boosts, but they're greater, but you don't like the look of it, you can do WoW-style transmogging and take the look, but they have to be the same tier, so common for common, uncommon for uncommon, rare, legendary, all that sort of thing. Otherwise, I'm looking forward to this game. I can't wait to get my hands on it properly when it comes out, I believe in February. I can't remember the exact date. I know it's next month, so it might be February 22nd. Still, I'm looking forward to it. My name is Smitty. Be sure to like, favourite, subscribe and all that YouTube jazz, and I'll see you next time.